No, not at all. It
Okay.
actually, believe it or not, I don't want to go too far into the presentation just yet, but no, it didn't start in Africa, but it ended up coming into Africa.
Mm. Okay. And what sources did you have?
Okay, so here, let me see if I can go ahead and I can bring up. Let me do this here. Let me
I
share
got
my screen.
Encyclopedia Britannica.
Okay, so I'm going to share my screen,
Okay. Share screen.
and what I got here is. Are you able to see that?
No, you gotta click on the link that you're sharing.
Okay, hang on one second here.
When you click share, you click present, and then there's another tab that's gonna come up, and
I
it's
see
gonna
it.
show you like it's gonna say share screen. Then you're gonna see like different tabs, and you click on the tab that you want to share. Like for me, instance, I'll click on Christianity definition that I just looked up, and then I'll go here, and it's my screen is sharing, but then I stop sharing the screen. So
Okay.
all right,
Okay.
here we go. Mr. Shannon screen. Add to the stage. Okay.
All right. So here we go. Let me go up here to where is that? Hold on one second. I just had it. Well, here I'm gonna go with. We're gonna start here. We can start here. Um, this is from a site from BBC UK,
Hmm.
and okay. So when we look here in as far as for Christianity, Christianity first arrived in North Africa. It says in the first or second century AD.
Hmm.
The Christian communities in North Africa were among the earliest in the world. Legend has it that Christianity was brought from Jerusalem into Alexandria on the
Where's Jerusalem at? Located.
well, Jerusalem would be considered in that time. It was like it would be considered Middle East. I know that there's a big misconception that people believe that this was all Africa at one point, and it's a big misconception because there's no way that they went from Jerusalem to Alexandria on the Egyptian coast. Um, and this is actually not a really good source here. It's just I wanted to give like a time frame because they're saying it comes in like in the first or second century. But if we look back here, I want to show you this. Okay, so now we're looking at Ethiopia has like the oldest uh, uh, illustrated Bible, right? And according to as you can see here, according to the Ethiopian tradition, Christianity first came into Aksum Empire, and that was the 4th century AD with a Greek-speaking missionary. I'm not going to even butcher that first name, but it was converted by King Izana. Now, this is out of Smithsonian Magazine, and we can get into it. They are pretty credible when it comes down to historical accounts, and it makes sense because when you look at the actual Ethiopian Bible, um, one thing that we do realize right away that there was absolutely a Greek influence in it. In fact, much of it is taken right from the Greek Septuagint. And prior to that, we realized that the Greco-Romans had obviously access to that as the early Jews were the first known Christians. And so right there is telling to me that's showing that it didn't originate in Africa, but it was brought into Africa.
Hmm.
Most likely because there were traders.
Hmm.
Um, People did trade, especially like through the around the coast of Egypt, simply because the Nile was there, and we all know what the Now Valley was all about. One of their biggest uh, one of their biggest how do I put this? One of their biggest um,
Brother fell off. I hope he come back. But let me just share my screen while he's gone, because he talked about Jerusalem, and I asked a question, where's Jerusalem? And it says in Asia. I don't know. Let's see. It says in Asia, but it's not pulling up as Jerusalem at this moment. But what's your thoughts on the subject on where Christianity came from, Yami?
I mean, personally, I think that Christianity is it started before the church. The concept itself about love and stuff like that was taught by ancient people. So if that's why they say, yeah, they copy from Kemet, they copy from Samaria, Sumer, whatever. They copy from all these ancient religions because it's not, the concept isn't new. What's new is applying that concept to your enemy. You know what I'm saying? So that was the newest thing that anybody has ever seen. Because in the book of Leviticus says an eye for an eye, a tooth for a tooth. So people was used to doing that and only showing love to the people that they roll with. So as time went on, Jesus came around. Whether people believe in Jesus or not, that's another story. But when he came around, he told people that God was in them. He started bringing back the old teaching because man fell off and started worshiping idols and stuff like that. So if you look at the Hebrew doctrine, they don't believe in worshiping nothing but the unseen God. So, it's no different than the Muslims. The Muslims don't have a statue of God. When you get into Christianity, something that was produced by the Europeans, I'm saying the concept isn't new, but the platform of how it's delivered is pretty new. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, you got a white Jesus on a cross and all this crazy shit like that. I mean,
well, the white Jesus is pseudo. We know that.
Yeah, I mean, but you see, the thing about it is, when you go further and further and deeper into these old so-called Christian kingdoms and stuff like that, you find out that they have a dark-skinned Jesus with woolly hair. You know what I'm saying? So, it just becomes more complicated because, in Europe, they still have the Black Madonna and Child. You know what I'm saying? So, I mean, they gave us.
I'm sorry, that cut me out, y'all. I don't know what happened. I'm not sure why, but how much did y'all get to see of that? Did y'all get to when I was reading the Church on Earth in Ethiopia?
Oh, I saw a little bit of it, man. I got caught up with somebody who asked me for some.
Okay, so let me get back to this. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna work off a different device so I don't get kicked out of this again.
Okay.
For some reason, when I go to share screen, it does this, and I don't know why, but I'm gonna go back in again. Here we go. Okay, so this is the source I was coming from, and this is from Smithsonian Magazine, right? And what they're basically talking about in here, what I said is that according to the Ethiopian tradition, Christianity first came into the Aksum Empire in the 4th century AD, when a Greek-speaking missionary named Frumentius converted King Izana. But, however, doubts of the historical reliability of this count, the scholars have disagreed over when and how the new religion reached distant Ethiopia. This is what makes the discovery of Basilica so important. He adds, it's reliable evidence for a Christian presence slightly northeast of Aksum at a very early date. So we're at here. I want to give this to y'all. Where was that at? Right, this. Let me see. Okay, so what they're saying. Can y'all still hear me?
It's in and out.
Yeah.
Okay, I just want to make sure y'all can hear me clearly. All right. Let me know if y'all try to stay with me so I know y'all there. But what they were saying is that here we go right here. Okay, the International Assemblage of Scientists discovered the church 30 miles northeast of Aksum, the capital of Aksumite Kingdom, a trading empire that emerged in the 1st century AD, would go on to dominate much of Eastern Africa and Western Arabia through radiocarbon dating artifacts uncovered that at the church. The researchers concluded that the structure was built in 4th century AD, about the same time when the Roman Emperor Constantine I legalized Christianity in 313 CE, and then converted on his deathbed 337 CE. The team detailed their findings on a paper published today in Antiquity. So what it says, the discovery of the church and its contents confirmed the Ethiopian tradition that Christianity arrived at an early date in an area like 3,000 miles from Rome. The finds suggest that the new religion quickly spread through the long-distance trading networks that link the Mediterranean via the Red Sea with Africa and South Asia, shedding fresh light on a significant error about which historians know little. The Empire of Aksum was one of the world's most influential ancient civilizations, but it remains one of the least widely known. And this is Michael Harrower of John Hopkins University. He's the leading archaeologist on that particular team. So what I was trying to get at is that what we do understand is that just even from that, and I can go on several sources so we can actually see, but Christianity did not start in Africa. It actually started. It started in the Middle East, but it had a great influence with the Roman Catholics. We do know that the first true Christians, or Christians, so to speak, were actually Jews.
Or what?
Christians or Christians?
Christians.
It's kind of like the our roles, and that's the way they pronounce it at that time. But the point I was getting at is that the very first early Christians were Jewish converts, and ultimately that had went into like the Greco-Roman civilization, and like through that, like I said, through trade and things like that, and that confirms what I was saying as far as them coming down through trade and things like that. This is how the religion spread into Ethiopia, and that was like into the 4th century. So obviously it did not start in Africa.
Okay, let me ask you this, right? Because I'm trying to understand why we doing this show on the origins of Christianity and where it started. So I
Okay,
want to ask you, biblically, where was the first mention of Christians?
Biblically, the first mention of Christians.
Mm-hmm.
Let me see. I'd have to bring that up because, of course, I don't have that handy, but I'll bring it right up. According to the biblical account. Now, let me mention this too, since we're going to go with the Bible. Well, it's important for everyone to know that the Bible is not a history book. It is not a history book. I'm absolutely certain of that, and I shared that in the back chat. The Bible itself. Here, let me do this. The Bible does record some actual historical events.
I'm sorry.
Let's get Mika in here.
When you say the Bible is not a history book, that's a
okay. Mika's back. All right, so
that's based off your personal opinion.
Okay, there she go.
So to you, the Bible.
One thing that we have to understand, and I probably could share screen on that.
Mm-hmm.
I'll do that now. Actually, let me bring that up. I want to just show that what I mean by the Bible is not a history book. It has some historical events, but it's not a history book all the way around.
That's up for debate.
Hold on 1 second, because the leading scholars, even not just you have to look. You have biblical scholars and then you have secular scholars, right? The secular scholars, I'm going to show you right now. Hold on. The secular scholars will tell you that the Bible is not a history book. They do agree that there are some historical events that happen, but overall it's not a history book. Okay, and this is
primarily a history book because there are cautionary tales or cautionary stories. So it's not just a history book, it's a self-help. It's not just one type of book. It is more than just a history book because it's also a self-help book. So
I'm gonna show you,
you can't say that the Bible is only a history book because that would be a fallacy to say that it is only a history book. But it's also a motivational book, self-help book, science book, mathematical book. It contains so many different aspects to it that you cannot contain it into one genre of a book. That's why it's not a history book.
Well, that too, but you have to understand that the Bible, number one, is not in chronological order. And what we have is there's fragments, okay, of different scrolls. There's different patches taken from here, there, everywhere, and kind of compiled together. It's a compilation. So you even have times where there was like Babylonian captivity, which would explain like the biblical flood story, which is composed of two different flood stories. One being from like the Epic of Gilgamesh, and then also some Mesopotamian flood story. But
it's only one flood story, but there was different things happening in that same time frame that there are two stories to. It's like if you're watching a movie, right? And so it's different people that's having an experience at the same time, but you have to document both imperative people to that story. So it's not that it's two different stories, it's one story, but it's two different perspectives of that one story, if you understand what I'm saying.
Well, no, I disagree because let me just say this. I have already had this debate before, and I was able to show scientifically and mathematically why a worldwide flood is completely impossible. So what a lot of the archaeologists, geologists, and even what you would consider historians, what they do agree that there may have been an absolute local flood, but a worldwide flood never occurred. And so
if they ain't lived in it, they can't say what's impossible, because you know why? Nothing is impossible. Nothing is impossible.
No. What
Everything
you're saying
is possible in this world. Everything is possible.
I'm telling you, there's not enough water on the earth for it to be a worldwide flood.
The earth is 80%, 90% water.
No, ma'am. It's not that much water. There's about 73 to 75% water. And even with that,
majority of water.
Hold on. I'm gonna let me type my scores. I didn't know I was going to debate tonight, but let me bring
We're not debating, but I'm just saying, like, even our bodies is made out of 77% of water.
Can I say something? So from my research, there was a video I had. Some lady sent this shit to me mad years ago on my other account that's no longer active, but she sent me a video where scientists were saying the opposite of what he's saying that scientists said. They said that it could have been very well a global flood. I don't know where the video is at. I forgot what, I think it's on YouTube. I don't know, but I was watching a video. It was a white man talking, and he was like, yeah, you know, people say da-da-da. And then next, they showed how that could be a possibility. And just because you see scientists that agree with your narrative, whatever that narrative is, mainstream, narrative, which is like that can't be possible, right? And then you have the not so mainstream narrative where other people are saying something totally different. You see what I'm saying? So,
go ahead, brother. I'm sorry.
So I mean, that's just basically what I was basically saying, like, it's funny to me that, whatever you want to find as far as information backing your agenda, there's plenty of information to back whatever you're looking for. If you believe that we're in the Matrix, there's plenty of information stating that we're in a holographic universe. If you believe that we have a flat Earth, there's plenty of information that can confirm that you're in a flat Earth. If you believe that the Earth is round, there's information about that. So, I mean, the internet can't really be trusted all the way. You have to use discernment, your own judgment, to see, according to scriptures, what is right and what is wrong. That's all I got to say.
Your show. Don't nobody want to hear what they talking about. YouTube bullshit.
Well, look, I'm gonna share screen, right? I brought up a pretty reliable source here, and I'm gonna show. And actually, let me just say this here. Let me start here. Here we go. I'm going to present some scientific evidence that there could not have been a worldwide flood as described in the Bible, because there's simply not enough water in the Earth's atmospheric system to produce such a flood. Now, according to the data from the U.S. Geological Survey, the amount of water in the Earth's atmosphere could not possibly cover the Earth. In fact, one estimate of the volume of water in the atmosphere at one time is about 3,100 cubic miles, or 12,900 cubic kilometers. That might sound like a lot, but it's only 0.001% of the total Earth's water volume of about 332,500,000, which comes out to about 1,385,000 or 100,385,000 kilometers, right? So it says if all the water in the atmosphere rained down at once, it would only cover the ground to the depth of 2.5 centimeters, about 1 inch. So additionally, because 1.7% of the Earth's water is stored underground, there's not nearly enough water underground groundwater storage beneath the Earth's surface to account for the amount of water necessary to flood the entire Earth to the extent the Bible describes. It says, simply put, there is not enough water in the Earth's atmosphere to raise the ocean's level over an inch, much less over to cover Mount Ararat with water from 40 days of rain. It's simply not that much water in the system. Thus, in order to even entertain the possibility of a worldwide flood, one has to bypass all the laws of physics, exit the realm of science, and enter the realm of miraculous, which many biblical literates are willing to do. It's hypothetically possible to say that polar ice caps melted, but this would raise the ocean levels beyond the 2.5 centimeters that the Earth's atmospheric water atmospheric water could were it to all rain down. But even then, the thaw would only slightly affect the world's coastline. Additionally, all scientific evidence points to larger polar ice caps in recent history, not smaller. Another fascinating scenarios could be offered to explain the flood. For instance, some might suggest that the colossal ice asteroid could have burst into our orbit and melted, bringing it with. Hold on. Can y'all still hear me? Yo? Can y'all still hear me? Okay. I just wanted to make sure. I didn't want to get cut off here. I said okay. So another what they say is that right here it says amount of water into the atmosphere. Okay, but even this, despite the scenario possesses a major problem for many biblical literalists who attempt to explain or prove the flood scientifically. The Bible says it rained and the springs of the deep opened, but it mentions nothing about an asteroid. Likewise, where water to enter the Earth's system, where did it all go? To where did the water recede? The Earth's water cycle results in all watering residing somewhere on the Earth's surface in the form of oceans, ice, freshwater lakes, beneath the Earth's surface, and subterranean reservoirs that produce springs, geysers, and the Earth's atmosphere.
Let's be clear, because when you put out numbers and stuff like that, you got to put out both numbers. So I just want to be clear, right? 71% of the Earth's surface is water. That means only 29%.
No, that's inaccurate. That is inaccurate.
That is not inaccurate.
That is inaccurate. So
you
listen.
said this earlier. So do we want to rewind the tape? Let's rewind the tape. Because I asked you earlier.
Hold on 1 second, because you didn't let me finish. Because I'm getting ready to really get to the meat.
I left and came back, and I was just revisiting that because you
said. You missed a whole great deal.
71 to 75%. You said 71 to 75% of the Earth atmosphere is consisted of water, and it is impossible to flood the water.
Bible shit, it's not.
If they don't get they done. Nobody even talking Bible. I'm going by what he said.
You're going by the Bible.
I'm going by what he said. I can't help that you traumatized by the scriptures.
You're going by the Bible. The shit didn't happen.
I only going by what he said.
But you're going off the Bible.
What percentage of the Earth consists of water?
You're going by what you think you
read.
What
percent of the water is? I mean, what percent of the Earth is contained by water? Just
okay. Let me do this here for you right quick. We're gonna straighten this out now.
Yeah.
Okay, so Here
I
we
just
go.
want to know what percentage of the water. What percentage?
That's what I'm going. That's what I'm going to give you.
You know, yeah.
So
What
it says here. It says here. This is what it says. About 71% of the Earth's surface is covered in water, and all oceans hold about 96.5% of the Earth's water. Now, water also exists in air as water vapor, in rivers, lakes, ice caps, glaciers, and ground as soil moisture, aquifers, and even in you. Okay,
Right.
so now watch this. Do you know how deep an ocean actually goes?
No, nobody knows. But here's a question, right?
Oh, wait a minute.
So, wait. Here's a question. I'm not debating what you just said. I just got a question. If 70%, we ain't even talking about the water that you just explained about, that's in the, the damping and all that stuff that's in the earth, that's in us or whatever. We're just talking about the earth, not the people, not the plants, not the dirt, none of that. So 71% of the earth's surface is water. Are we standing on that?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yes, we are.
What percentage is not of water?
So if 70%, right? Okay, let's do this here. Let's do the math, right?
That means 29%, right?
29% of the Earth's surface. Hold on. Yeah, so we're looking at 29%. Now, this is one thing here. The average depth of the ocean is about 3,682 meters. That's actually about 12,000.
As far as humans have ever went.
I'm sorry?
That's as far as humans ever. That is as far as humans have ever went without spontaneously combustion because of atmospheric pressure, right? Because if we go too deep, we're gonna fucking explode. So we can't even go to the deepest of the deeps in the ocean, correct? Or am I lying? Tell me I'm lying.
Well, let me say this. What they have, I'm giving you for this particular area. So you got to let me finish. They're saying 12,080 feet, right? The deepest part of the ocean is called the Challenger Deep, and it's located beneath the Western Pacific Ocean and the southern end of the Mariana Trench, which runs several hundred kilometers southwest of the U.S. territorial island of Guam. Challenger Deep is approximately 10,935 meters. That's about 35,876 feet deep. Now it sounds like they were able to and then hold on. One thing that you do realize is that we do have tools that they can send like sonar to reach the bottom, and they'll get when it bounces back, they'll know how deep it is. So we don't have to dive that deep or even go down that deep. We have tools that show us how deep it is.
Excuse me, can you reiterate that? I'm sorry.
So we have tools. We have tools to actually go. We have tools to find out exactly how deep it is, and that's how they came up with these equations. They use something like almost like a sonar, where they can shoot that signal down, and when it bounces back, they can see how far and how deep that went. This is how they know how deep this is. So it says.
Can I say something real quick, Hero? The ocean is 71% of the Earth's atmosphere.
No, it's 71 of the Earth's surface, not the atmosphere.
Okay, 71% of the Earth's surface, right? With that being said, there's 71% of the Earth's surface that has to be investigated. Now, there are shallow parts of the ocean, and there are deeper parts of the ocean. And there are certain parts of the ocean that you just cannot touch. Especially the Bermuda. I ain't even gonna go on the Bermuda Triangle. I'm not gonna try, and then it's more than the Bermuda Triangle. So there are deep, and then I ain't even touching Antarctica, because we can't even go there. So there are parts of the ocean that have yet to be explored, and so you're stating this as a fact, right?
Yeah, they have it here as a fact. I'm telling you. Look, and that's actually that source is from the National Ocean Service. This is the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration. This is a credible source. Now, this is another one I'm going to give you right quick.
Okay.
Watch this. Watch this. Here's something
sorry,
else.
Hebrew. I got you know how I am. I gotta ask the hard questions.
Oh
brother.
yeah. No, that's no problem.
Iron sharpens iron, bro. Iron sharpens iron. So
Yeah, that's no problem.
Okay.
Now watch this. I'm gonna give you guys something right quick because now we're gonna look at something. Let's look at this here. We're gonna take a look at the Grand Canyon. Okay. It says the stair-step appearance of erosion and sedimentary rocks in the Grand Canyon, with sandstones and limestones forming cliffs and shells, forming gentle slopes, cannot happen if all these rocks were deposited in less than 1 year. If the Grand Canyon had been carved soon after these rocks were deposited by a worldwide flood, they would not have had time to harden into solid rock and would have been saturated with water. Therefore, the sandstones and limestones would have slumped during the carving of the Grand Canyon and would not have formed cliffs. Now that's citing Hill, 2016. Here's another one. The salt and gypsum deposits, more than 200 feet thick, occur in the Paradox Formation in Utah, just 200 miles north of the Grand Canyon. And these deposits are the same exact age as the Tupai rocks in the Grand Canyon that were supposedly also deposited by Noah's flood. Similarly, salt deposits up to 3,000 feet thick exist in various places on all continents and in layers of all geologic ages. And these deposits can be produced by evaporation of seawater. So such evaporation could not have happened in repeated intervals in the midst of 40 days and 40 nights of raining. And during the supposed continuous deposition of sedimentary rocks by a worldwide flood in which the only drying and evaporation is said to have occurred at the end of the flood. So Collins, they're citing Collins 2006, 2009, 2012, and then Hill again 2016. It says also the sand dunes with giant cross bedding across the Mesozoic rocks and Zion National Park are further evidence that desert conditions occurred at the time of the supposed flood. And fossilized mud cracks in the Cambrian Tapetes formation on the top of the Precambrian Vishnu schist at the bottom of the canyon and indicate that drying conditions existed during the alleged worldwide Noah's flood. I'm sorry for the stuttering here for a second, but anyway, it says that and these drying conditions occurred and at the very beginning of this supposed flood. Although the mud cracks can be also formed in mud underwater by compressions that squeezes out water from the mud, such compression is not likely to occur in a flood. Moreover, fossilized mud cracks are found in other formations that were supposedly deposited during Noah's flood, and these mud cracks occurred in red shells that coexisted with salt and gypsum layers. Therefore, these mud cracks were likely formed by deltaic mud flats that were exposed to the atmosphere, where their iron-bearing minerals reacted with oxygen in the air to form the red hematite. Okay, so it says raindrops per Raindrop prints occur in many places around the world, which
Mm-hmm.
could not have been formed or preserved if the muds now in shallows containing these prints were deposited underwater during Noah's flood. Also, the nest of dinosaur eggs are found in several places around the world. And it is logical that dinosaurs could have had enough time to create these nests and layer their eggs while they were fleeing from rising waters to reach higher ground. But it does say this. The white cliffs of Dover and in the eastern coast of England consist of chalk layers up to more than 350 feet thick, that they are composed of fossilized coccoliths, and it's a kind of algae. And these layers are the same age as the sedimentary rocks that overlie the giant cross-bedded sandstones in Zion National Park. Therefore, they were supposedly deposited by Noah's flood, but the coccoliths are very tiny and have chloroplasts
Let me
that
ask you a question. Let me ask you a
requires
question.
sunlight. Hold on, that requires sunlight that must float close to the ocean surface to get energy from the sun. So I'll stop there and let you answer the question. Ask a question.
Okay. What's your understanding of stromatolites?
Stromatolites.
Mm-hmm.
It's let me do it this way. Stromatolites are more or less like they're like bizarre fossils, right? I mean, they're like they have for what I've read before, and I just kind of Googled it because you kind of threw a name out there that is kind of foreign to me. But I do recall this now, reading this before. Stromatolites are bizarre fossils whose biological origins were debated until only a few decades ago. Today, scientists generally agree that stromatolites are layered colonial structures predominantly formed by cyanobacteria.
Excuse me?
That's what they are. And then this is, and where you find these at is at the Capitol Reef of what they call that. This is at the Capitol Reef National Park. They're giant stromatolites. They're like I said, I'm gonna say it again. They're bizarre fossils whose biological origins were debated on only until a few decades ago.
Today, scientists generally agree that stromatolites are layered colonial structures predominantly formed by cyan bacteria. Do you know what cyan bacteria is?
Not necessarily, but I do know it's I mean it's bacteria, but you could break it down and elaborate if you like.
You want to put it in my terms or layman terms? So stromatolites are the appearance of fossils that have been fossilized due to water damage or water.
Well,
they basically appear, and so the cyan bacteria are cyan, which is blue. That's the color blue, which comes from the ocean. The bacteria is from the ocean.
Okay, so watch this. The definition, according to the dictionary, it says it's a division of microorganisms that are related to the bacteria, right?
Bacteria.
But they are capable of photosynthesis. They are prokaryotic and represent the earliest known form of life on life on Earth.
Mm-hmm. Right. So, cyan bacteria originates from the ocean.
Mm-hmm.
If so, like when we talk about what's his name? What's the theory of evolution or whatever?
Oh, you talking about Darwin?
Darwin, right. So when we talk about this is where I get the term stromatolites, because I took anthropology.
Anthropology, yes.
So in anthropology, it's a term that's very recognized, stromatolites. And so when we talk about stromatolites, so what happens is, that one cell theory, Do you understand the one cell theory?
Well, what you're talking about is a single cell organism that eventually evolved into a
single cell, one cell, single cell, one cell. What's the difference, right?
Well, it's the same thing, but it eventually evolved into multicellular organisms, and that's what we were at one point.
Which originally came from the ocean.
Yes.
Oh, okay. So just so we clear. Okay. So stromatolites usually they cause these different layers in rock formation or whatever, and these layers and these rock formations are created by the cyan bacteria, but it's also created by the water that hit these rocks. So when you see a stromatolite, it's usually because it was some water that hit that thing. You get what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So the water create just we got air, fire, water, and earth, right? These are the primary elements, right? So with that being said, they all interact with each other at one point or another. Is that could that be considered a true or false statement?
Absolutely. Well, absolutely. I think so. I didn't want to stray away from this because I was getting ready to nail this home real quick.
Oh, nail it in the coffin. Then what's going on?
Because okay, let me this is not going to take me but a few minutes, but I promise you this is going to really nail something home. Okay, so I was talking about the coccoliths, right? And I was saying the White Cliffs of Dover on the eastern coast of England consist of chalk layers up to more than 350 feet thick that are composed of fossilized coccoliths. This is a kind of algae. And these layers are the same age as the sedimentary rocks that overlie the giant crossbed sandstones in Zion National Park, and therefore were supposedly deposited by Noah's flood. But coccoliths are very tiny and have chloroplast that requires sunlight and must float close to the ocean's surface to get enough energy from the sun. Now here's where it goes. This is where it hits. Because of this fact, all of them could not have been living at the same time to the depths of 350 feet in 1 year, in which the flood is said to have occurred because that many organisms in the water at that time would have blocked out the sun from organisms below near the surface. Does that make sense? You guys with me? Just want to make sure y'all still there. Okay, I just want to make sure y'all still there. Now, we go back to this. Okay, so up to 4,590 feet or foot thickness of radiolarians occur on the Pacific Ocean floor. Radiolarians are tiny marine organisms with silica skeletons. I'm sorry. And I'm going to share images of these too for you guys to take a look at. But it also says that they also contain chloroplasts that must float near the ocean surface to obtain sunlight. The rate at which dead radiolarians, settle at the bottom of the ocean floor is too slow for that thickness and amount of radiolarians to accumulate in the 4,500 years since Noah's flood. Although radiolarians are not found in the sedimentary rocks of the Grand Canyon, fossilized radiolarians are common in sedimentary layers and other parts of the world of the same geologic age. And each of those layers contain distinctly different radiolarian species that are among more than 4,000 different species that have been identified. So chaotic rushing waters of a tsunami and Noah's flood would have been unable to sort out these different species in different geologic ages, from those living in the early flood to those created in the late flood. So none of the sedimentary rocks in the Grand Canyon contains fossilized pollen grains that are produced by grasses, pines, flowering trees, plants, whereas these same rocks in the canyon only contain spores of algae, ferns, moss, and fungi. It says a worldwide flood would be expected to mix these tiny structures if all were alive at the time of Noah's flood. And this mixing did not occur. How can a rush of water and a tsunami sort out and separate tiny reproductive structures from each other? So I'm gonna stop there because that's a very good question I wanted to ask. If we had a worldwide flood, and obviously if there was, if according to the Bible, it said that the groundwater itself burst open, this would create tsunamis. It would absolutely create tsunamis. So how could a rush of water and a tsunami sort out and separate such tiny reproductive structures from one another? Anybody want to get at a shot? Okay, so if nobody wants to give that a shot, I'll continue because this
I'm
goes.
sorry. I'm sorry. I was muted. I'm sorry. What was the question again?
Okay, so what I was saying is that none of the sedimentary rocks in the Grand Canyon contain fossilized pollen grains that are produced by grasses, pines, and flowering trees. The plants, whereas these same rocks in the canyon contain only spores of algae, ferns, moss.
Where do algae come from?
Hold on, you're not letting me get to my. Hold on. I asked the question, and I was trying to see if you can answer it, but I just wanted to rephrase it because you didn't hear any of this. So I was saying that none of the sedimentary rocks in the Grand Canyon contains fossilized pollen grains that are produced by grasses, pines, and flowering trees and plants, whereas the same rocks in the canyon contain only spores of algae, ferns, moss, fungi, and a worldwide flood would then be expected to mix all of these tiny structures, right? If all were alive at the time of Noah flood. But now here's the question.
Wrong. That's not right. You said that
I'm reading from a scientific journal. How are you gonna tell me this journal? Is not right?
Can you present it on the screen?
Yeah, I sure can.
Do that.
I sure can.
Thank you.
Let me see. Let me go ahead and share screen. I don't want anybody to think I'm making this up. Okay. So we're going to do with this here.
Because if it's algae and it's moss. And what else you said?
Okay, so now.
Yes.
So look, let me read this here. We're right here at number 9. Okay. It says none of the sedimentary rocks in the Grand Canyon contains fossilized pollen grains that are produced by grasses, pines, and flowering trees. The plants, whereas these same rocks in the canyon contain only spores of algae, ferns, moss, and fungi. A worldwide flood would be expected to mix all of these tiny structures if all were alive at the time of Noah's flood. And this mixing did.
If was a fifth, we all be drunk.
Hold
If
on.
all were alive during this time. Now, I got a question for you.
I still haven't got to my question. My goodness. All right, you know what? I'm gonna go ahead and wrap this up for the night.
You reiterated the question like 3 or 4 times.
No, I didn't. I haven't even asked the question yet. I haven't got to the question yet. I asked the question, but you didn't hear it. You were on a mute. And I was going to ask something. This is what I'm asking. It says a worldwide flood would be expected to mix all of these structures if all were alive at the time of Noah's flood. And this mixing did not occur.
Mm-hmm.
How can a rush of water in a tsunami sort out and separate such tiny reproductive structures from each other?
Okay, now can I explain? Now can I answer the question?
What they're saying is these absolutely do exist.
They absolutely exist now. Now, can I answer the question?
Well, I'm saying they existed then too.
Can I answer the question?
Sure.
Okay. I have a couple of questions for you, but I'm not gonna answer a question with a question. If there is a global flood, none of that shit gonna exist. All that stuff gonna be flooded. Ain't finna be no living trees. Ain't finna be no living pollen. And pollen goes through the air. It don't go through the water. I'm talking to a Hebrew right now, sis. Hold on. He asked me a question. Let me answer the question out of respect. In respect, please. So, if it's a global flood, none of those things are going to exist in a flood. None. And they're going to miss. They're not going to do none of that. The only
you're missing this. You missed it, sis. You missed it, sis.
No, I did not miss nothing. I heard you ask the question 3 times.
Well, what I'm saying is these things did exist prior to the flood. So right. if there was a
flooded, like say for instance, have you ever did any type of gardening ever in your life?
Absolutely.
Okay, so when you overwater a plant, that shit no longer exists.
Sis, you're not listening to me. This is why you're missing the question.
You said none of the sedimentary rocks in the Grand Canyon contains fossilized pollen grains. That's pollen. Mm-hmm. That's seed, right? From a plant that are produced by grasses. That's grass. That's also a plant. Pines. That's also a plant. And flowering trees. That's also a plant.
Mm-hmm. Whereas what? These same rocks in the canyon contain only what? Spores of algae?
Spores of algae.
Moss,
and fungi, which is all of ocean plants. Those are ocean plants, water plants, plants that survive in water, sir. Those plants that they're not even plants, they are spores, algae. They not, I can't even say except for the ferns. They survive in water. These type of things that they said survive in the water. The things that they said don't survive in overwatering.
So what I'm saying is this is the part I'm trying to get you to understand. If there was a rush of water in a tsunami, right? How can a rush of water and a tsunami sort out and separate such tiny reproductive structures from one another? That's the question. How can it separate them? They would all be mixed together, right?
Not necessarily. What are you talking about?
Oh, come on, sis. You just said if I went out there and I'm gardening and I poured out 50 gallons of water on that thing, you're not going to tell me all of that is going to be mixed together? It's going to be mixed together, right?
It's those type of plants will not be 100% viable, right? They will not be 100% viable. However, you will have some different types of seeds that are those ones that are like hard to even freaking grow, and they could sit there for decades, years, or whatever, and finally crack the shell. Like I've seen seeds, like because I grow a lot. I've seen seeds. I would cultivate my seeds, and a lot of them would sprout, and a lot of them wouldn't sprout. And the ones that didn't sprout, they had harder shells than the other ones, and so they won't sprout till months later. It's
Okay, so
seasonal. And so this is and
I
so
got
this is when it comes to season, like when you can plant a certain type of plant during the spring and it will not sprout a damn thing. But you could plant another type of seed in the spring and it will sprout. That is the reason why. It depending on the seeds that was there, it depending on the vegetation that was there, will it survive during that time?
okay, so let me ask you this question. This is the smoking gun right here. Okay, what according to the biblical narrative, Noah had sent out a dove, right, to see if there was a dry land, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now, what did the dove bring back to let him know there was dry land?
Not a damn thing.
He brought him back an olive branch, right?
No, the dove didn't bring him back nothing.
Okay, so hold on. We're gonna put that to the test.
The dove didn't bring him back nothing. It wasn't until he sent out a raven.
Okay, a raven. What did the raven bring back?
Whatever the scripture say he brought back. I can't say it verbatim, and I'm not going to do that. But yeah, it was the raven that brought back knowing something. It was not the dove. And
Okay, hold on. I want to show you this, but go ahead.
So this was after 40 days and 40 nights of a flood, and then 40 days and 40 nights of sun. So now this is what you call the birds and the bees conversation, because not everybody understand the birds and the bees conversation. And so we never really had that conversation. We just think it's about sex, but we're talking about pollination, right? So what initially happens is that birds, they eat seed, right? They eat the seeds of different plants. Listen to what I'm saying.
Go ahead.
They eat the seeds of different plants, right? And once they eat those seeds, they fly south for the winter. They fly south or whatever. They fly different directions when it's different seasons, and they shit out those seeds for plants to grow.
Okay.
So this is the imperative information that you're missing from that plant that the raven came, because the dove that ate the seeds and shit it out, shit across the land, and didn't bring back nothing because he was pollinating. And then when so by the time the raven came out, stuff started growing, and so the raven was able to come back and bring something. So it's up to you to want to listen or not listen. I don't care, but I'm
listening.
I'm just talking to Hebrew right now. But I came here to just shine a light on it, because people don't know how literary art is. I'm a literary artist person, and when you talk about things like that, you got to be clear on why did they say there was a dove first, and then.
So what did Noah feed the people on the ark, the animals?
Excuse me.
Who fed the animals on the ark? Who fed the animals on the ark?
I'm gonna just have to have you refer to the cycle of life on that one.
Hold on 1 second.
Mm-hmm.
How long was Earth?
Huh?
Hold on. I was trying to bring up my slides, right? Okay, so and I have one more, and I'm gonna bring this all the way back, because I just want to make a point real quick.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so this is what I was asking you before. Okay, so and I'm gonna share my screen. So no one.
Real quick, let me answer this. Wasn't everything underwater? How did the dove eat seed if everything was underwater? Everything went underwater 40 days and 40 nights, and then there was a time where it wasn't underwater after the 40 days and 40 nights.
Hold on, I got you right now. I got you right now.
If we saw, I wasn't even going biblical, but if you guys want me to, I can bring up the scriptures about that. But I really don't.
So hold on. This is because
I'm keeping this just theory and science. I'm not trying to go biblical.
No, but I'm saying we're talking Noah's flood, right? So if we with Noah's flood, we have to deal with the biblical narrative and the biblical accounts. So what we have here is that the this is in Genesis. This is in Genesis 8, and it says he reached out his hand and took the dove and brought it back to himself in the ark. And he waited 7 more days and again sent it out from the ark. When the dove returned to him in that evening,
that's new. No, that's wrong.
But it was a freshly plucked olive leaf. So wait a minute. Wait a minute. What hold on, wait a minute. Do you want a different you want a different Bible to use? What you want, the King James?
Yeah, because you reading that wrong, brother. That's so wrong, and then that's not even the Bible. That's somebody's. That's somebody. No. We're gonna go straight to the scripture because that's somebody's blog. You gotta go to the scripture.
Wait. Hold on. Okay, we're doing the scripture here.
Hold on, because I'm finna just
King James Bible. King James Bible. I'm sharing it. King James Bible.
That's not no Bible. That's not a Bible.
King James Version Bible.
Oh God.
Why this is not the Bible? This is the King James Version.
Genesis
you see right there, King James Version.
And he sent forth a raven, which went forth to and fro until the waters were dried up off from the earth. That's the answer. That's the answer. Whoever questioned like it wasn't everything underwater.
No. Go to verse 11. Go to verse 11. Go to verse 11. What does it say?
No.
And the dove came to him in the evening, and lo, in her mouth was an olive leaf.
Okay. So I have it.
So Noah.
So it was
right. So Noah knew the water had abated from the earth. Right.
Also, he sent forth the dove from him to see if the waters were abated from off of the face of the ground.
Yes. Right? Now watch this.
Okay,
now watch this.
The dove found no rest for the sole of her feet. And she returned unto him into the ark, for the waters were on the face of the whole earth. Then he put forth his hand and took her and pulled her unto him into the ark.
So now watch this.
Wait, let's just keep reading. And he stayed yet another 7 days, and again he sent forth the dove out the ark. And then verse 11, and the dove came in to him in the evening, and lo, in her mouth was an olive leaf plucked off. So Noah knew that the waters were abated off from the earth. So it was the dove. Okay, excuse me, brother.
Okay, so now watch this.
I knew it was a raven. So first it was a raven, then it was a dove.
Yes. Now watch this.
I know it was 2 different birds.
This is where it gets important, though, because according to the Bible, the flood lasted 1 year and 11 days, or 371 days based upon a 360 year, or 12 months and 30-day months, right? It is not known at what hour the flood began on day 1, nor what hour the Noah left the ark on day 371.
This man ain't
right.
I'm so done. And the dove came to him in the evening, and lo, there was an olive leaf plucked off. So Noah knew that the waters were abated from the earth. And he stayed yet another 7 days and sent forth the dove, which returned not again to him anymore. And it came to pass in the 601st day. That's 2 years. And the first month of the
2 years, right?
Day of the month,
You said 2 years it was a flood?
No, it wasn't 2 years it was a flood. It was 40 days and 40 nights for a flood. But he waited for the water to dissolve.
Right. And so that was over a year.
Right. So it took like a year and a half for the waters to dissolve after the flood.
Now watch this.
And so the first day of the month, the waters were dried up from off the earth, and Noah removed the covering of the ark and looked, and behold, the face of the ground was dry. So,
okay. Hold on, I'm about to get to my point. Go back.
so we were talking about Christianity, though.
Yeah, I know, but hold on. I'm just going to prove. I want to prove this point.
Now,
I'm almost there.
Do her own live, and then we can chat.
Hold on, produce leaves and 1 year. Okay, so here we go. Here we go. Here we go. All right, so here we go. Let me go down here to the because as you see, you know, Google, you can't always just Google. The first thing that comes up is nothing but Christian resources. So what we're going to do is we're going to look for an academic source that's going to give us a scientific answer. Because I want to know, there's no way, put it this way, there's no way that an olive tree is submerged in water for a year's time and then produce olives or even leaves to even know that the land was had receded. So here we go. Hold on. Maybe I should have typed it in a different way. Here, let me do it this way. Let me do it this way, sis. Okay, here we go. Okay, so right here, this is from this. I'm gonna give you the actual university. It's a PDF. Let me see if it'll do it on this computer because I really want to share the screen, and then that way you can see what I'm saying. It's this is an actual this thing is acting so slow. But what it says here, this is from here we go. Here we go. Why is it bringing it up different on this? Anyway, what I have here is this is from Charles C. Monroe III, and this is from it has csun.edu, and this is actual PDF. But it says if the olive tree had been completely submerged underwater, as Genesis 7:20 says, states, for 5 months. Wait a minute, and for 5 months. Genesis 7:11 and 8 and 4 claim the tree would be dead and leafless. Any arbitrist or olive orchard operator can testify to that. So what they're saying here was Okay, so it says, was the flood worldwide? According to the literal reading of Genesis, there was supposedly was a worldwide flood. The first clue that the literal reading is misleading is found in Genesis 6:7, where God supposedly is destroying all life on earth. That would include little children, infants, and how does one reconcile this with Jesus, who never caused the death of anyone? Why would the author attribute the cause of the flood to God? And the era of the flood, it says that the flood took place was commonly assumed. Hold on. Commonly assumed
I'm sorry,
that
this sounds like somebody's blog. This don't sound like no scientific facts or anything.
this is actually from a university. Let me see if I could just
This is
share
the
the whole.
abstract that somebody wrote to get their doctorate degree.
This is a whole. Listen, it's citing sources and all. I'm going to just share it, and I'm having trouble sharing it on. If I'm going to share it in our back chat, and if you can, since you're just a little bit better than mine right now, mine is acting funny. I'd like for you to share it in our chat, the chat on the stream, and we can read it together. You can see this is actually a real academic source. I'm not going to cap. Here we go.
It sounds like somebody's opinion.
Well, no, it's not an opinion. There's science behind it, but and it's actual logical. It's logical when you think about it. If an olive tree had been submerged underwater, as Genesis 7:20 states, and for 5 months, as Genesis 7:11 and 8 and 4 claim, the tree would be dead and leafless.
That's not true.
Think about it.
I just
think
told
about
you
it this way.
I just told you about my experience with growing plants. Some seeds I can cultivate within a week.
Okay, so watch this.
It takes months to cultivate because of the shell and the hard shell. And then 2, okay, and I mixed spoke when I was talking about the raven.
Mika, you can look this up right now if you want. You can look this up right now.
I let you talk for a long time. I didn't say nothing.
Drown a goddamn plant. It's not going to grow.
Olive trees have been shown not to survive underwater immersion for more than 10 days, Mika.
What I was saying, please. So I misspoke with the raven. I had them in reverse. So it was the raven first, then it was the dove, right? So just reverse the raven and the dove. I knew it was 2 birds, not 1. So with that being said, the raven is the one that picked the seeds up off the ground, off of whatever. So now, like I said, some seeds that I'm a gardener. I've been gardening for a long time, and I know how seeds work. And when they first cultivate, they look like little tiny sperm, right? But all my seeds, okay, I'm just trying to talk here. I don't know. If you ain't willing to listen, ain't no reason for me to talk.
I'm right here and I'm listening, but what I'm telling you is that you can look this up right now. An olive tree can only survive under the olive tree. The olive tree can only survive. It can't survive more than 10 days submerged in water. You can look that up. An olive tree cannot survive more than 10 days. And I'm sharing the actual source right now. I was able to find it. And
I understand that. I understand what you're saying. But we don't know. Number one, there's some things that we don't know, right? I'm finna end this because I can't. I can't do this no more. Because I'm trying to be real respectful here, and I'm just trying to
get down to the. I'm trying to get down to the bottom of this.
Okay, so let's be clear. So she disrespectful, cuz I'm gone, because I'm finna fucking bang. I'm out of here. I'm out of here. I'm so out of here.
We're gonna end the live, but I'm just saying on real talk.
I'm out, bro. I'm out, bro.
Listen, stop for a minute. Everybody stop for a minute. All I'm saying is that
Motherfuckers got that FOMO.
You got that FOMO, no como, diarrhea at the mouth for that promo, riding solo in the low. You only live once, YOLO. Fear of missing out, running your mouth. Shaped like a trout, cat for clout. Your friends are running out, always talking loud. What you talking about? You ain't right just because you scream and shout. You wanna be heard, should've closed your mouth.
Close your mouth.
Lost a bro code, let it go, 3 or 4. Waving the fofo, kick in the dough, unlimited supply.